I sort of want to talk about another player who had an injury, who maybe doesn't necessarily carry the offense, but definitely has a huge role in special teams for the Niners. And this player that I'm talking about is Ray-Ray McCloud, who I guess a day or two ago broke his wrist. Well, a day or two before these practices started.
I want to say it was day one, but maybe it
No,
was
no, no.
before.
I think this was before.
Mm.
So I guess in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but this happened just a couple days ago. But he broke his wrist. I'm not necessarily sure how. I'm assuming it was at practice, and he's going to have surgery. I'm assuming pretty soon, and I guess it'll take at least 8 weeks, barring any setbacks. But I think this is actually huge. This is
Mm.
this is this is actually a really big deal for the Niners because special teams is that third aspect of the game that can be the difference between winning or losing, like a really big game, as we saw with the Niners in 2021 against the Packers in the snow when Jordan Willis stuck his hand up and was able to block the punt, and Talanoa Hufanga was able to scoop and score for the touchdown that ultimately sent the Niners to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
The one that we just showed the clip for. But I think it's not only huge in terms of like the next 8 weeks, but beyond that. Like, it's his wrist. How's the strength going to be in his wrist after 8 weeks? Is he going to be able to grip the ball, and catch the ball? I guess at the same level that he was able to before the injury. Like, that would be my main concern, because once you're on punt return, or once you have the ball in your hand in open space, what everybody tries to do is punch the ball out. Is he going to be able to take the punches? I'm assuming he will be carrying the ball in the opposite wrist.
Mm.
And I don't know which wrist that he broke, whether it was his dominant hand or not, but I just wonder the long-term effects and who is going to step up. This might also impact the roster breakdown, or the cut down, because they might have to keep a guy like Ronnie Bell or some other skill player instead of maybe another lineman.
Right.
Or they might keep one skill player over the other just for the ability to punt return and kick return.
Mm.
Now, I was listening to Grant Cohn talk about this earlier, and he sort of suggested that maybe they should put Debo at punt and kick returner, because he's one of the best ball carriers in the NFL. Like, you put the ball in his hands in open space, good luck.
Right.
But then again, I would just be worried with the drops that Debo has. I think in 2021, Debo had his great year. He still had a lot of drops, but I want to say he was able to kick return and punt return still at a high level that season.
Mm.
So as long as Debo can, work on his ball security, he doesn't really fumble a lot, but if he can just work on securing the football first and then taking off and running, I think that would be huge. It would definitely sort of justify his contract and how much he's making if they can use him. If they can use him like how they used him in 2021 in sort of like a gadget kind of role. Excuse me, by the way.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's my question. Who else could return kicks?
Apparently Brandon Ayuk was really good at it in college, but he wasn't very good at it when they put him back there a year or two ago.
See, here's my thing: is like a year or two ago, I want to say it was with Gruden. The Raiders had Hunter Renfrow returning kicks and punts, and yeah, I understood it. Like, returning punts is different than kicks. I think you want your kick returner to be a speed, returner. I think you want your punt returner to be like savvy, kind of a jump cut sort of guy, and good in space, right? Or good in finding space. And of course, sure-handed. So I get it. There was always in the back of my mind, like, God, if Renfro gets hurt on a punt return, that's gonna feel so stupid, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm not the biggest believer in having your star players return kicks. Um, I can understand it on punts, but man, I mean, you take the wrong hit and you are out. You know, I would I would rather have a guy that's just fast and sure hand enough. Like maybe your fifth receiver. Just hey, you want to return kicks? But at the same time, yeah, I mean, like you said, returning kicks, everything on special teams is very important to the game. So being able to get the right guy to do it is important. And maybe the Niners look, to free agency to find the guy. You
Mhm.
never know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know a lot of the names available that are proven punt return or kick return guys. But one thing I will say is, for the most part, I agree with your notion about like you don't really want your star players back there returning kicks because of the risk of injury, and
Mm.
you want a fast guy. I think Ray-Ray McCloud was that guy, and he just got injured, but I will just say that as soon as the Niners traded for McCaffrey and Debo came last season to camp, out of shape because he was holding out for his contract and didn't necessarily get to football shape until maybe later in the year, and it just wasn't the best year for Debo, right? I think that his offensive role sort of, he is now taking a little bit of a backseat in terms of like they're not going to use him as much at running back because I mean, first of all, they're loaded at running back. Second of all, McCaffrey sort of defeats the purpose of needing to put Debo back there. And what is Debo most like lethal as? Would you say? I would
As
say
a he's most lethal with the ball in his hands. Get the ball in his hands, let him go.
Mhm. But I would say Debo. I mean, the best way to get the ball in his hands is like on a screen, like
Yeah,
a
a
tunnel
very
screen, bubble
quick
screen.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very quick play. I wouldn't say he's the strongest route runner. I mean, he's not a bad route runner. I'm not going to say that. He's a great wide receiver. He's not like Devontae Adams or Justin Jefferson or Brandon Ayuk in terms of route running,
yeah.
but uh,
I mean, this
I
is
think
why
that
he was so good at running as a running back, is just because just get the ball in his hands and he knows how to
I mean, he
make
barrels
plays.
over people and he's
Yeah,
quick. I mean, he's
he's quick.
fast,
He
dude.
makes cuts. He can juke you. He can run through you.
No, he will run through you. Like, I think I don't know. I mean, unless I'm like recalling incorrectly, somebody would probably have to send me like, a couple replays of Debo juking. Debo likes the contact. He likes to dish out contact.
Yeah,
He will go into somebody and like, yeah. I do remember him juking out uh what's his
Jalen
face?
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. And
Yeah.
then like he posted that video on his Instagram, the uh-oh, uh-oh. I
Yeah,
remember that.
that was
But
funny.
but yeah, Debo's just such a I mean, he's such a weapon. And if you can get him on special teams, and if he's gonna be similar to what he is like on the offensive end, like as soon as you get the ball in his hands, like watch out, it could be a touchdown on that play. I think you might have to really look into that because like I said, he's going to be taking less of a role on the offense. But
Hmm.
like you mentioned, you don't want him getting hurt. And I think that's just the main concern, I guess, for anybody. But for a team that's got so much talent, you know, you can it's almost embarrassing how much riches they have
Yeah.
and how they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in terms of somebody to take over, we'll have to stay tuned for that. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
No, I don't.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think about is I think there is a corner on the Niners roster right now. I want to say his name is Deshaun Jameson, um, who and that might even be the wrong player, but I know I believe there is a skill player on the defensive side that is able to field, punts and return kicks.